Are there hidden pyramids buried beneath the Great Wall of China? It sounds like something straight out of a science fiction adventure movie, but once you dig into China's buried past, pun very much intended, the lines between myth, mystery, and reality start to blur. And when you realize the Great Wall might not just be a military marvel, but also a veil for something far older and more powerful, things start to get very strange, very fast. When people hear the word pyramid, their minds jump to Egypt. The towering limestone giants of Giza dominate the global imagination. Others think of the Maya or Aztecs in Central and South America. Some even recall the Sudanese pyramids tucked away in Nubia. But hardly anyone imagines China, a land famous for the majestic Great Wall, as home to what might be one of the largest and oldest collections of pyramids in the entire world. And even fewer suspect that some of those ancient structures might lie directly beneath or dangerously close to one of the world's most iconic landmarks, the Great Wall of China. This wall, which snakes over 13,000 miles through deserts, mountains, forests, and plains, wasn't built in a day or even a century. It spans multiple dynasties, layers of civilizations, and thousands of years of overlapping history. It's been a fortification, a trade route, a cultural divide, and perhaps a disguise. What if instead of just protecting China from invaders, parts of the wall were constructed to hide something far more mysterious? Something buried just beneath its massive stone foundations? Just outside the ancient capital of Xi'an in Shanxi province, a region that the wall winds through, are what many researchers now call the Forgotten Pyramids. Not a few, not a dozen, but potentially hundreds. These structures have stood the test of time, largely ignored and left unexplored. Ancient Chinese lore ties them to the legendary Tianzi emperors, rulers referred to as sons of heaven. But these weren't just kings in fancy robes. According to legend, they descended from the skies in fiery metal dragons, a phrase that might sound suspiciously like ancient astronaut theory to some. The first Westerners to take these stories seriously were Fred Meyer Schroeder and Oscar Mamoen back in 1912. They explored the region and documented these mysterious mounds that didn't quite seem natural. But it wasn't until World War II that the world really started paying attention. In 1945, James Gaussman, an American pilot flying a supply run between China and India, looked out his cockpit window and saw something utterly mind-blowing. A massive white pyramid rising from the earth, possibly 1,000 feet high. That's taller than the Great Pyramid of Giza by a long shot. And what really stuck with him? The capstone, said to be a shining jewel-like material, possibly crystal. 2 years later, in 1947, Colonel Maurice Xi'an, a director for Trans World Airlines, claimed to spot the exact same structure. His report even made it into the New York Times, complete with a sketch of what became known as the Great White Pyramid. But here's where it gets weird. No one has ever found it again. Despite satellite technology, drone surveillance, and boots-on-the-ground expeditions, the Great White Pyramid remains missing, vanished, like it never existed. Some researchers suggest it was deliberately erased from maps, edited out of aerial archives, or even buried again by human hands. Others believe the pyramid was cloaked using advanced camouflaging techniques. Ancient or modern, no one can say for sure. Military no-fly zones conveniently overlap many parts of the region, especially those where the sightings were reported. Google Earth images, frequently blurred or updated with suspiciously smooth terrain data right where the structure was said to be. And the locals? Many won't talk. Or if they do, they speak in hushed tones about sacred mountains that outsiders should never disturb. One elderly villager allegedly told an explorer, "You are not meant to see what sleeps beneath the earth." That explorer never returned to the region. Was it government intimidation? Or did he find something he shouldn't have? Whatever it was, it's clear someone or something is keeping the Great White Pyramid out of reach. But how could something so massive just disappear? Well, one theory is that it didn't disappear. It was buried. And if its location aligns with where parts of the Great Wall stretch across Shanxi province, then perhaps the wall itself plays a role in the cover-up. Think about it. The wall isn't just a straight line, it zigzags across hills and valleys, sometimes bypassing more direct routes. What if those detours weren't military decisions, but architectural ones, built to avoid or conceal something? Like massive underground structures the government doesn't want anyone to find? Access to these areas is locked down tighter than Fort Knox. The Chinese government has imposed strict bans on excavations, drone flights, and foreign researchers poking around these natural hills. Their official excuse? Preservation. They claim the technology doesn't exist yet to safely excavate the sites. But if it's all about safety, why not collaborate with the global archaeological community to develop those tools? Instead, they shut down inquiries, cancel permits, and reroute investigations. So again, what are they trying to hide? Some researchers believe these pyramids may predate China's earliest known dynasties, meaning they'd blow the lid off everything in history textbooks. And rewriting history isn't something any superpower takes lightly. For authoritarian regimes, history isn't just the past, it's a tool for control. What better way to ensure obedience than to shape the story of where your people come from? If these structures were built by a civilization far older and possibly more advanced than anything recorded, it would raise uncomfortable questions. Questions about lost technology, buried timelines, and global connections ancient scholars refuse to acknowledge. It could expose trade routes, genetic exchanges, or even cultural influences that didn't fit the official narrative. And if the truth shattered national pride or political ideology. That's the kind of secret governments would bury at all costs. After all, if history is written by the victors, then ancient ruins might just be the rebels' last word. Now let's bring it back to the wall again. Along the wall's path are dozens of burial mounds and symmetrical hills. Too symmetrical, too perfect, and strangely aligned. From above, using satellite imagery, many of these mounds form geometric shapes that mirror the placement and layout of pyramids in other ancient civilizations. Egypt, Peru, Mesoamerica. Could it be that the wall doesn't just cut across history, it covers it up? And here's another layer, the astronomical connection. The pyramids in Xi'an aren't randomly placed, they're tilted, about 14 degrees off perfect alignment with the cardinal directions. That might sound sloppy, until you realize that they align with the Gemini constellation as it appeared during the spring equinox thousands of years ago. That 14-degree shift isn't a mistake, it's precession. It matches the Earth's axial wobble, which takes nearly 26,000 years to complete. So whoever built these structures didn't just understand astronomy, they mastered cosmic time. Let that sink in. As far back as 25,000 years ago, builders in China were not only erecting massive pyramid-like structures, but also aligning them with star patterns that would shift over millennia. Meanwhile, part of the Great Wall silently winds past these structures, like a protective guardian, or maybe a prison wall meant to keep secrets inside. And right near those pyramids, the Terracotta Army. In 1974, two farmers stumbled upon it while digging a well. This clay army was meant to guard the tomb of Emperor Qin Shi Huang. But that tomb? Still unopened. Legend has it there's an underground palace with rivers of mercury and celestial maps decorating the ceiling. Researchers say the mercury levels around the site are dangerously high, possibly from ancient hydraulic traps or something more advanced. Again, no one is allowed inside. And yes, the Great Wall runs not far from there either. Coincidence? Some whisper that China's leadership knows these sites contain technology or spiritual knowledge that would shatter conventional understanding. Others think it's less about secrets and more about control, of narrative, of nationalism, of ideology. Whatever the reason, one thing's for sure, we're not being told the whole story. Take the Hanyangling Mausoleum, for example. It's one of the few pyramid-like sites open to tourists. You can visit the museum, walk around the area, but not dig. You can look at the gift wrap, but you're never allowed to see what's inside. Meanwhile, more symmetrical hills line parts of the Great Wall like silent sentinels. But if you try to examine them too closely, you hit a wall, literally and bureaucratically. So let's ask the big question, could there be entire pyramids full-fledged ancient temples, or star-aligned observatories buried right beneath sections of the Great Wall. The geography supports it, the archaeological patterns support it, and the secrecy surrounding the wall's more remote stretches? That only adds fuel to the fire, because across every ancient civilization, from Egypt to Mesoamerica, one pattern repeats: pyramids. Humanity built them everywhere, without knowing each other, without communication, but with purpose. To align with the heavens, to honor the dead, or perhaps to connect with something not of this world. So maybe the Great Wall isn't just a wonder of the ancient world, maybe it's also a curtain, and what's hiding behind it or underneath it could be the biggest revelation of our time. Because sometimes the greatest mysteries aren't lost to time, they're buried on purpose. If this story made you question what lies beneath the surface, hit that like button and subscribe for more eye-opening content just like this. There's a lot more hidden history waiting to be uncovered, and it's just getting started.